The Legend of Lake Hollow, 2024, is a thriller that delves into the mysterious occurrences surrounding an eerie forest and lake. The story begins with two researchers, Mark and Carlson, who venture into the dense woods for their research. Early on, they sense something strange in the area and hear a scream echoing from Lake Passy. Although startled, they dismiss it as an animal's call and return to their rented cabin, where connectivity issues limit their communication with the outside world. Mark reviews some infrared camera photos taken around the forest. He and Carlson notice something odd in the images but are interrupted by the arrival of Mark's brother, Dan, along with his newlywed wife, Shay, and her friend Lori. The group gets to know one another, revealing that Mark is a pedologist studying the local soil, while Lori is a fashion design student. Their conversation is interrupted by a mysterious old man named Travis, the house's caretaker. He warns them that while the forest is safe during the day, venturing there at night is dangerous. Later that night, Mark hears strange noises again. He follows the sounds but finds nothing tangible. Reviewing more infrared photos, he sees what appears to be a spirit, which terrifies him. The following morning, Mark insists on speaking with Travis about the bizarre images, prompting him and Lori to visit Travis's house. Meanwhile, Carlson, Dan, and Shay explore the forest, where they also experience eerie phenomena, including spotting what looks like a ghostly figure in their photos. At Travis's house, Mark and Lori find it abandoned. While investigating, they encounter a badly injured young man named Grady, who claims to be Travis's son. Grady informs them that Travis was murdered, but he managed to escape. Mark and Lori decide to take Grady to the hospital but discover that their vehicles have been sabotaged and submerged in Lake Hollow. Attempts to contact the police fail due to phone malfunctions. As Dan, Carlson, and Shay return, they realize they need a crane to retrieve the submerged cars. Meanwhile, Lori comforts Grady, who expresses his sorrow over his father's death. Mark questions Grady about the presence of a phone at Travis's house, and Grady confirms there is one. Mark returns to the house to try calling the police, but encounters a childlike apparition. As he follows it, the figure vanishes, leaving him unnerved. Lori and Grady bond by the lake, while Carlson spots unsettling images in the photos. Carlson rushes out to question Grady, who suggests the spirits belong to people who perished there. The group is skeptical, but they soon take Travis's warnings more seriously. Armed with a gun, Dan, Carlson, and Shay venture deeper into the forest. They come across footprints and bones, heightening their fear. Back at the cabin, Lori and Grady's friendship grows, culminating in a kiss. Lori experiences a strange incident when she sees Grady outside the window, despite him being inside. She faints from the shock. Meanwhile, Mark manages to contact the police, but the call takes a terrifying turn as a voice on the other end ominously tells them they are being watched. The group notices a fire across the lake and hears unsettling screams. Mark decides to investigate, taking Grady along in case he can identify anyone familiar. As they cross the lake, Grady points out that the spirits haunting the area were victims of the lake's curse. When they approach the spirits, a sudden fire erupts, and the apparitions disappear amidst gunfire. Mark hastily retreats. Simultaneously, strange figures begin appearing outside the cabin, and Carlson fires at them. An old man materializes, warning them to leave or face death before vanishing. Mark and Grady return, and they discuss the strange occurrences. When they check the cabin's cameras, they realize the spirits resemble the figures captured in the infrared images. The tension escalates as Shay hears Lori's voice calling for help. She and Dan investigate, with Dan encountering an axe-wielding apparition. He returns to the cabin shaken, unsure of Shay's fate. Mark discovers that Grady might be connected to the supernatural events after seeing images of him as a spirit in the photos. Mark realizes that the entity terrorizing them can mimic people's appearances to sow confusion and fear. As he confronts the spirits, they reveal that the evil force, known as the Wendigo, has been killing residents and travelers in the area for years. The spirits tell Mark that it preys on the living by taking on the forms of its victims, explaining the sightings of familiar faces. Mark learns that the Wendigo's goal is to drive them away or kill them to claim the land for itself. The spirits urge Mark and his group to leave, but the Wendigo suddenly appears, taunting Mark and stating that it cannot be killed with ordinary weapons. It admits that its mission is to take over the land by eliminating all intruders. In the final scene, some time has passed, and new residents arrive at Lake Hollow. Mark is shown sitting outside the house, now serving as the caretaker. He advises the newcomers to reach out if they ever need help, leaving an ambiguous sense of foreboding as the movie concludes. The Legend of Lake Hollow wraps up as a chilling thriller, exploring themes of survival, supernatural horror, and the power of ancient curses. The narrative follows the characters' attempts to unravel the mystery surrounding the lake while confronting their deepest fears and the malevolent force that threatens to consume them. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.